Imagine praying without shouting, without posting it, without announcing it to anyone. Yet every time you do, something in the spirit realm begins to shake. No noise, no audience. Just a quiet conversation with God that witches cannot monitor, manipulate, or interrupt. While they wait for loud words and visible actions, your silence becomes their greatest fear, because what they cannot hear, they cannot counter. Imagine discovering why witches fear people who pray quietly, and how this hidden spiritual discipline activates divine protection, confuses monitoring spirits, and blocks spiritual attacks before they are even released. In this video on Exposing Witchcraft TV, you will understand the spiritual laws behind silent prayer, how it shields your destiny, and how to use it as a powerful weapon to stay ahead of every hidden attack against your life. Why quiet prayer terrifies witches. Quiet prayer is one of the most misunderstood spiritual weapons, yet it is one of the most powerful. Many people believe that power must always be loud, dramatic, and visible. But in the spirit realm, silence often carries greater authority than noise. Witches understand this truth very well. That is why they fear believers who pray quietly, because such prayers operate beyond human awareness and spiritual surveillance. Witchcraft systems depend heavily on monitoring. They track words, patterns, emotions, reactions, and confessions. Loud prayer reveals direction, desperation, and sometimes even timing. But when a person prays quietly, there is nothing to record, nothing to trace, and nothing to report. The enemy cannot build a strategy against what he cannot hear or interpret. Quiet prayer flows from intimacy, not performance. It is not designed to impress people, but to connect deeply with God. This level of prayer bypasses surface-level spiritual activity and reaches the core of divine authority. Witches fear this because intimacy with God produces precision, and precision prayers hit targets directly without warning. In the spirit realm, noise attracts attention, but silence attracts power. When you pray quietly, angels are dispatched without announcement. Divine instructions are released without spiritual resistance. There is no early signal for the enemy to prepare a counterattack. By the time witches sense something has shifted, the prayer has already been unanswered. Quiet prayer also shuts down spiritual interception. Many attacks succeed because prayers are exposed prematurely. When words are released carelessly, they can be twisted, delayed, or resisted. But silent prayer is sealed. It moves from your spirit directly to God, without passing through hostile channels that witches rely on. Witches fear quiet prayer because it reveals maturity. A believer who can pray without drama understands authority. Such a person is not begging God, but aligning with Him. Alignment produces results, and results without explanation terrify the enemy. They see blessings manifest, but cannot trace the source. Another reason quiet prayer is feared is because it blocks emotional manipulation. Witchcraft feeds on fear, anger, anxiety, and desperation. Quiet prayer is calm, focused, and rooted in trust. When there is no emotional leakage, there is nothing for witches to exploit or amplify. Quiet prayer also confuses monitoring spirits. These spirits wait for verbal cues, repeated phrases, and predictable patterns. Silence breaks their system. They report incomplete information, leading to wrong conclusions and failed attacks. This confusion creates spiritual errors that work in the believer's favor. Many victories are lost because people talk too much after praying, but those who pray quietly and keep results private protect the manifestation. Witches hate this discipline because it denies them access to testimony before fulfillment. The miracle appears suddenly, without warning. This is why people who pray quietly often experience sudden breakthroughs, unexplained favor, and divine escapes. Witches sense the effect but cannot find the cause, and what they cannot locate, they cannot destroy. Quiet prayer does not announce war, but it always wins it. How quiet prayer hides your destiny from witchcraft altars. Witchcraft altars operate through information. Names, voices, confessions, complaints, and repeated statements are the raw materials used to build spiritual accusations. When a believer prays loudly and constantly speaks about their struggles, they unknowingly supply these materials. But quiet prayer removes your destiny from the database of the enemy. Every altar needs a point of contact. This could be a spoken fear, a careless word, or an emotional outburst. Quiet prayer denies witches this access point. When there is no verbal agreement, no negative confession, and no exposed desire, the altar has nothing to anchor itself to in your life. Quiet prayer creates spiritual invisibility. This does not mean absence, but concealment. God often hides those he intends to elevate. Witches fear this phase because hidden destinies cannot be targeted. By the time your name is mentioned on an altar, your season may have already shifted. Many witchcraft attacks succeed because destiny is exposed too early. Plans are announced, goals are shared, and prayers are repeated publicly. Quiet prayer protects the womb of destiny. Just as a child is hidden before birth, your breakthrough must be concealed until it is fully formed. Witches rely on timing. They attack before fulfillment, during transition, or at moments of weakness. Quiet prayer disrupts their timing because it releases divine acceleration. God moves ahead of schedule while the enemy is still waiting for signs that never come. Quiet prayer also blocks destiny exchanges. Witchcraft often attempts to divert blessings, delay progress, or transfer favor. But when your prayer life is sealed, spiritual transactions cannot be tampered with. What God releases to you arrives intact. Another fear witches have is that quiet prayer attracts divine covering. When God hides a person, even arrows sent in the dark miss their target. Attacks are released, but they return unanswered. This frustrates altars and weakens their power over time. People who pray quietly often avoid unnecessary battles. Not every victory needs warfare. Some battles are won by silence and obedience. Witches hate this because it denies them confrontation, drama, and reaction, all of which they use to gain advantage. Quiet prayer also shifts spiritual authority. Instead of reacting to attacks, you begin to operate ahead of them. You are no longer responding to witchcraft. Witchcraft is responding to your progress. This reversal creates fear and confusion in the camp of the enemy. This is why witches work harder against noisy believers than quiet ones. Loud prayers expose targets, but silent prayers secure destinies. When your life is hidden in God, altars lose relevance, power, and influence over your future. Why quiet prayer destroys spiritual monitoring systems. Spiritual monitoring is a core operation of witchcraft. Before any attack is launched, information must be gathered. Monitoring spirits listen for words, observe reactions, and track emotional patterns. Quiet prayer dismantles this system because it produces results without supplying data. Witches fear quiet prayer because it creates spiritual blind spots. Monitoring spirits are trained to follow sound, repetition, and visible activity. When there is silence, they lose direction. They sense movement but cannot identify the source, location, or timing. Quiet prayer works at the level of the spirit, not the senses. Witchcraft operates through sensory awareness. What can be heard, seen, or emotionally detected? Silent prayer bypasses these channels and connects directly with divine authority, where witchcraft has no access. Many people unknowingly empower monitoring spirits by constantly narrating their problems. Each word becomes a signal. Quiet prayer breaks this habit. Instead of broadcasting your battles, you submit them to God in secrecy, cutting off the enemy's intelligence flow. Monitoring spirits depend on patterns. They look for repeated phrases, emotional cycles, and predictable prayer points. Quiet prayer disrupts patterns and introduces unpredictability. When the enemy cannot predict you, they cannot plan against you. Another reason quiet prayer is feared is because it releases sudden spiritual shifts. There is no gradual build-up for witches to observe. One day, nothing seems to be happening, and the next day, doors open, chains break, and favor appears without warning. Quiet prayer also exposes false spiritual confidence in witchcraft camps. When attacks fail repeatedly without explanation, fear enters their system. They begin to doubt their sources, their methods, and their power. Silence becomes psychological warfare against the enemy. People who pray quietly often move faster in destiny. While others are still fighting visible battles, they are already advancing. Monitoring spirits fall behind, reporting outdated information that leads to failed operations and wasted efforts. Quiet prayer trains the believer to listen more than speak. This sharpens spiritual discernment. While witches rely on external signs, quiet believers receive internal direction from God, staying steps ahead of danger and deception. This is why witches fear quiet prayer more than aggressive shouting. Shouting can be tracked, studied, and countered, but silence backed by faith is untouchable. It disables monitoring systems and leaves the enemy operating in the dark. How quiet? Prayer attracts divine intervention without warning. Divine intervention often happens without noise, drama, or public awareness. God does not need announcements to act. Quiet prayer creates the perfect environment for sudden intervention, and this is exactly why witches fear it. When heaven moves silently, hell is caught unprepared. Witches depend on early detection. They watch for spiritual signals that indicate a prayer has been released. Loud prayers give them time to react. Quiet prayer gives them none. By the time they sense divine movement, the intervention has already taken place. Quiet prayer activates angels without alerting hostile spirits. Angels respond to authority and alignment, not volume. When a believer prays quietly with faith, angels move swiftly, completing assignments before interference can be organized. Many testimonies of sudden escape, last-minute help, and unexplained favor are products of quiet prayer. These interventions appear accidental to the world, but they are carefully orchestrated by God. Witches fear this because they cannot block what they cannot foresee. Quiet prayer also invites God to fight on your behalf. When you stop explaining, arguing, and defending yourself, God steps in as your defender. This shifts the battle from human effort to divine judgment, a realm witches cannot control. Another reason quiet prayer attracts intervention is because it demonstrates trust. Trust moves God faster than desperation. Quiet confidence tells heaven that you believe God is already at work, even when nothing is visible. Witches fear believers who pray quietly because they don't panic. Panic creates openings for attack. Calm prayer seals those openings. When there is no fear to amplify, witchcraft loses its emotional fuel. Quiet prayer produces answers that appear sudden but are deeply rooted. While others struggle through prolonged warfare, quiet believers experience swift resolution. This speed confuses witches and weakens their influence. Divine intervention through quiet prayer often leaves no spiritual residue. There are no loose ends for witches to exploit afterward. The matter is settled cleanly, permanently, and completely. This is why some victories come without a fight, without a witness, and without an explanation. Quiet prayer invites God to act silently but powerfully, leaving witches shocked, exposed, and unable to respond. How quiet? Prayer breaks curses and spiritual bonds. Witches rely heavily on curses, generational chains, and spiritual bonds to control lives. These chains often feed on attention, words, and emotional energy. Quiet prayer is like a spiritual firewall. It blocks the flow of energy that fuels these attacks. When you pray quietly, you reduce the spiritual signature that witches use to trace and reinforce their curses. Loud prayers, public confessions, and shared struggles give them the exact pattern needed to maintain control. Silence denies them this. Quiet prayer carries authority. It does not ask timidly. It commands spiritually. This authority pierces chains that loud but undisciplined prayers cannot. Witches fear this because it attacks their operations directly and efficiently. Many curses operate by monitoring weaknesses. Anger, fear, bitterness, and doubt are their tools. Quiet prayer protects your heart, keeping these emotions hidden from spiritual attackers. Without access to your vulnerabilities, curses lose strength. Quiet prayer also activates unseen deliverance. Many people experience breakthrough without even knowing the exact moment it happened. Chains are broken while the world remains unaware, and witches cannot pinpoint the source to retaliate. Another reason witches fear quiet prayer is that it produces consistency. Regular, disciplined, and silent communication with God steadily dismantles spiritual strongholds. Each silent prayer weakens curses and loosens bonds until they fall apart completely. Quiet prayer aligns you with heavenly protocols. Some spiritual chains can only be broken through divine authority, not human effort. By praying quietly, you submit directly to God's power, bypassing witchcraft and human influence. Unlike dramatic displays, quiet prayer creates permanence. Chains are broken at the root. Witches may attempt temporary setbacks, but disciplined silence ensures long-term freedom from repeated attacks. This kind of prayer also protects others around you. When you pray quietly, the spiritual shields you raise extend to your family, workplace, and relationships. Witches find this especially frustrating because the influence is invisible, yet highly effective. Ultimately, quiet prayer is a chain breaker, a curse destroyer, and a silent weapon of victory. Witches fear it because it works efficiently, invisibly, and permanently, leaving no room for counteraction. Why quiet prayer confers unseen spiritual authority? Spiritual authority is not determined by volume, but by alignment. Many assume authority must be announced, but in the spirit realm, true authority is recognized without introduction. Quiet prayer places a believer in proper alignment with God, and alignment releases authority automatically. Witches fear this unseen authority because it cannot be challenged. Loud authority invites confrontation, but silent authority enforces dominion without debate. When a believer prays quietly, decisions are made in the spirit before opposition can respond. Quiet prayer trains the believer to operate from identity rather than desperation. Instead of fighting to be heard, you speak from a place of sonship and confidence. This posture is dangerous to witchcraft because it removes fear, which is their primary leverage. Unseen authority works quietly but decisively. Doors open, resistance dissolves, and obstacles move without explanation. Witches sense that influence has shifted, yet they cannot identify the source or counter the authority behind it. Quiet prayer also establishes boundaries in the spirit. These boundaries are not verbal warnings, but divine lines that cannot be crossed. When witches attempt intrusion, they encounter resistance they did not anticipate, causing their efforts to fail. Another reason witches fear quiet prayer is that it releases rulership before manifestation. Authority is exercised internally before results appear externally. By the time the result is visible, the spiritual decision has already been finalized. Quiet prayer strengthens discernment. As authority grows, sensitivity increases. You begin to sense danger before it arrives and direction before confusion sets in. This foresight makes witchcraft ineffective and late. Witches depend on intimidation. Quiet prayer eliminates intimidation because it anchors confidence in God rather than circumstances. When there is no fear response, witchcraft loses its psychological advantage. Quiet prayer also shifts you from reaction to command. Instead of responding to attacks, you decree outcomes internally. This proactive authority frustrates witches because it reverses the power dynamic. This is why believers who pray quietly often walk calmly through storms that overwhelm others. They are not careless, they are covered. Their authority speaks before their words ever do. How quiet prayer confuses witchcraft strategies. Witchcraft thrives on predictability. Spells, curses, and manipulations are all timed and executed based on expected patterns of behavior. Quiet prayer disrupts this predictability. When your spiritual life is disciplined and silent, witches cannot anticipate your next move. Many attacks fail because witches rely on visible signals, loud prayers, public testimonies, or emotional outbursts. Quiet prayer gives no signals. The enemy is left guessing, reacting to results rather than controlling outcomes. Quiet prayer also introduces mystery. Witches thrive on knowing who, what, when, and where of a person's spiritual activities. Silent prayer hides these details, making it impossible for witchcraft camps to create accurate strategies. By praying quietly, you force witches to operate on incomplete information. They may see progress, witness blessings, or sense spiritual authority, but they cannot connect the dots. This confusion leads to failed attacks and wasted energy. Many witchcraft strategies depend on emotional triggers: fear, anger, doubt. Quiet prayer stabilizes emotions, making the believer a hard target. When there is no reaction to manipulate, witchcraft loses its effectiveness. Another reason quiet prayer terrifies witches is that it introduces unpredictability into outcomes. Blessings appear suddenly, protection activates without announcement, and interventions happen in ways that are impossible to track. Silent prayer also disables double agents in spiritual systems. Spirits or humans who attempt to relay information to witches find nothing useful to report. The result is a frustrated enemy that cannot coordinate attacks properly. Quiet prayer forces witches to confront failures they do not understand. Every plan that falls apart without explanation creates fear. They know something is happening, but their lack of access to the source leaves them powerless. This discipline also empowers the believer to operate strategically. Silent prayer cultivates foresight, patience, and timing. You begin to move in the spirit before the enemy has even launched an attack. In essence, quiet prayer confuses, disrupts, and undermines witchcraft strategies at every level. Witches fear it because it turns their intelligence-gathering systems against them, leaving them blind, frustrated, and powerless. The final advantage of quiet prayer: lasting victory without warfare. One of the greatest advantages of quiet prayer is that it produces victory without constant warfare. Many believers are exhausted because they are always fighting visible battles. Quiet prayer shifts the burden to God, allowing Him to resolve matters before they escalate. Witches expect confrontation. They prepare for resistance, retaliation, and spiritual noise. Quiet prayer denies them this satisfaction. Quiet prayer establishes long-term dominion rather than temporary relief. Loud warfare may bring short victories, but silent authority secures lasting peace. Witches fear this because once their access is shut down, it remains closed. This kind of prayer changes spiritual seasons. Instead of cycles of attack and recovery, believers enter rest and stability. Witchcraft thrives in chaos. But quiet prayer restores order, removing the environment where attacks flourish. Quiet prayer also strengthens spiritual maturity. You learn when to speak and when to be silent. This discernment protects you from unnecessary battles and preserves your strength for assignments that truly matter. Many people think victory must be dramatic to be real, but heaven often works quietly. Quiet prayer aligns you with this pattern, producing results that feel natural but are deeply supernatural. Witches fear believers who are no longer reactive. When attacks do not provoke fear, panic, or noise, witchcraft loses relevance. The enemy realizes they no longer control the narrative. Quiet prayer leaves no spiritual debt. There are no lingering effects, no unresolved conflicts, and no open doors. What God settles through silent prayer stays settled. This is why some people experience peace that cannot be explained. It is not ignorance. It is spiritual authority at rest. Witches cannot penetrate a life governed by this kind of peace. In the end, quiet prayer is not weakness. It is mastery. It allows God to fight silently on your behalf, producing victories that witches cannot trace, challenge, or undo. How to pray quietly and protect your life. The first step to activating the power of quiet prayer is to create a sacred, undisturbed space. This can be a room, a corner, or even a quiet moment before sleep. The key is isolation from human eyes and ears because the enemy thrives on exposure. Begin by centering your mind on God. Silence your thoughts and distractions. Quiet prayer requires focus and intention. Speak to God from your heart, not for anyone else to hear. The less performance, the greater the impact. Use authority in your prayers. Remember, quiet does not mean weak. Declare what belongs to you spiritually: peace, protection, favor, and destiny. Speak with conviction, knowing your words reach God directly. Avoid unnecessary repetition or dramatization. Witches exploit patterns. Quiet, concise, and intentional prayer delivers results faster than long, emotional, or performative speech. Include thanksgiving and praise. This is powerful because it signals faith and alignment with God. Angels respond more rapidly to gratitude than complaints, and witchcraft loses its power when it senses divine favor. Visualize your outcomes. See your breakthroughs, protection, and blessings in the Spirit. Silent visualization strengthens prayer, reinforces authority, and confuses monitoring spirits further. Keep your victories private. Do not announce answered prayers prematurely. Witches feed on exposure and testimony before fulfillment. By keeping results silent, you protect the manifestation. Pray consistently. Quiet prayer is a lifestyle, not a one-time event. Daily engagement builds spiritual shields, strengthens authority, and disrupts witchcraft over time. Combine silence with fasting if possible. This enhances spiritual sensitivity and sharpens discernment. Witches fear disciplined, fasting believers because they operate above human and demonic interference. Finally, trust God's timing. Quiet prayer is about alignment, not instant gratification. Trust that He hears, He acts, and your life is being protected in ways the enemy cannot penetrate. Quiet prayer is one of the most underestimated spiritual weapons you can wield. It hides your destiny, breaks curses, confuses the enemy, and secures divine intervention before attacks even reach you. The less the world sees, the more God works. By practicing silent, disciplined prayer, you take control of your spiritual life, establishing authority that witches cannot challenge. Remember, true power does not require noise. It requires alignment with God. Father, I thank you for the power to pray silently and effectively. Cover my life from every attack of the enemy. Break every curse, protect my destiny, and give me wisdom to pray with authority and discretion. Let my victories come quietly but powerfully, and may every scheme of witchcraft against me be frustrated and destroyed in Jesus' name. Amen. If you want to learn more hidden strategies that expose witchcraft and protect your life, subscribe to Exposing Witchcraft TV and turn on notifications. Share this video to protect your friends and family, and comment below if you're ready to start practicing quiet prayer as a spiritual weapon.